Good evening. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, Jennifer, can you just let me know that all my levels are working? Tell me that you can hear me. I had some technical difficulties. That's why I'm about 10 minutes late getting on. Just let me know that everything is going out. Working on some new stuff. I'm trying to figure out if I do a live stream at YouTube at the same time as Facebook, you're going to miss information and it's going to be a lag. So I was trying to do some screen recording. Awesome. Thank you, Jennifer. I'm trying to do some screen recording and it didn't work because it had a conflict of the camera. So we're just going to do a Facebook tonight, and for some reason I can't download these videos anymore and then re-edit them. So we'll get into that. Anyway, got a lot of stuff to cover tonight, so I'm going to just jump in real quick, and since it's Valentine's Day, I figured I would show everybody this awesome coffee mug that I got. Mom, I love you as much as Joe Biden loves ice cream, so thought that was really neat, and I'll drink coffee out of it, and who knows, I might even use it for target practice. Okay, first thing I want to jump into real quick was explain some of my comments about monetization. Yeah. Anyway, because I'm trying to be very transparent on the channel and just kind of like lay out what I'm doing. And basically, what I'm saying is I don't mean any shade about monetization or any means like that. I basically have just been watching all of these conservative pundits on YouTube, the infighting and the things going on. My examples would be like Steven Crowder, the Daily Wire, and then you've got Jeremy from the Quartering on Tim Pool, which I watch all these people fairly religiously, and it really sucks to see all the infighting, but I just want a channel devoted to processing and sharing information, and I welcome dissenting views and different opinions and all these kinds of things. This is not a place that I want to create where there's a lot of hostility or an echo chamber. So I have several conversations throughout the week with different people, people that might agree, they might disagree, and I think that's totally awesome. I don't see why there's any problem where we can't come to some sort of middle ground on certain things. There's always things that need to be discussed. That's just how I feel about things, because there is no 100% solution for everything, right? But we can get as close as we can to things. So I've actually been reached out to by friends, and I never thought would even be interested in this channel or any of this stuff. It's like, hey, I've listened to some of your stuff. I don't agree with you a lot or always, but you make me think, and that's all. I want people to make me think. I want to have conversations. And that's all it is, man. So, this is mostly my opinion because this is my live stream, but I'm always open to suggestion and always open to people that don't or might have a different angle to bring to it, because none of us here are enemies. Just the simple fact. We have enough enemies as it is. So I'm all for monetizing and moving this forward, and I just know that at some point I'm going to get kicked off, and it's never going to happen anyway. And I that's not what I'm striving for. If it should happen in the future and things just go, that's all good and well, but I'm trying to keep myself transparent. I enjoy doing this. People want to see it, so we're just going to move along with it. But this is not just my thing. I urge you to get in the comments and challenge me, and let's have a talk. Let's have a debate, a discussion, or bring up things, So, moving along, I did get another community strike from Facebook because I can't handle myself when I see some lit memes. So, I posted another round of memes, I guess it was last night, and then I got struck again. They did not violate my channel, but this is my second time, so I'm going to have to go easy on the memes. And I've said it before, if a picture's worth 1,000 words, then a meme is worth so much more than that. But I guess I'm going to have to take it easy. But the funny thing is that I could post 5-6 memes in one post, but the one that they will flag is the one that is the most absurd or the most joking one. They don't flag the ones with the information. They flag the ones that you can easily tell that they're just jokes, for crying out loud. So I think that's hilarious. Apparently the Facebook overlords do not have a sense of humor. I'm going to go ahead real quick, and I want to talk again about the Unity Rally that's happening Saturday, February 18th in Loganville, Georgia. I'm going to release some more information and pin it up on the page and send it out, because I know that there's some people that are going with me, and that we're trying to drum up more support from the North Georgia area. I think this is a great thing. I don't know a whole lot about it or the people that are actually putting it on, but the people that are going to be there and going to be talking and going to be interacting, it looks like it's going to be awesome. So I'm looking real forward to that, and I will be speaking. I'll be running my trap, and then I will have a booth set up for Small Town Underground, Silent No Longer, Kingdom Lum Small Town, and we're just going to hang out and have a good time and just fellowship and really get into some unity, is what I hope. So I can't wait for that. I'm sure that you guys are paying attention to Mac McGregor, and he's really pushing it out, and he's doing some awesome content, some reels and stuff, so looking real forward to that. So don't forget about that. You can reach out to me in Facebook land or wherever. I'll give you as much information as I can, but I'm going. I think it's important that we support each other, and that we support each other through these rallies, and because we have got to have more involvement. We have to get more and more people involved if we ever expect to change anything. So without further ado, this will be my first time tonight trying this. We are going to talk to Ray Blankenship, and he's going to fill us in on a few things. So if anybody could just let me know that you can hear the ringing and hear this, because it's the first time I'm trying this going through.
Hello, Roy.
Hello, Ray. Ray Blankenship. Welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing excellent, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm hanging in there, just hanging on by a thread, man.
Well, you might ought to tie a knot on the end of that thread.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
Just hang on for dear life. That's all we can do right now, right?
You are not kidding, my brother. Folks, we're hearing from Ray Blankenship, and this is my first time using the phone through my system. So what we're going to do is I invited Ray onto the show, and he's kind of been he's my guinea pig, so we can get this thing rolling, because this would be a great way to share more information from more people in the community and just have more engagement. So Ray, what I want to do, talk to you tonight about and share a little bit with the group is tell us about what we have going on as far as the Second Amendment here in Georgia right now. I know there's a lot of things going on, a lot to unpack, but just give us your view on what we need to be looking out for and what's coming in the future.
Well, I can tell you this, with every good act, there's 5 or 6 bad acts that always goes on in our state legislature. And I can tell you one thing, we'll start it off on a really good note here tonight. Senator Colt Moore, he has presented SB 67, which is, of course, the Second Amendment Preservation Act.
Okay.
Which
SAPA,
is
right?
SAPA. Yeah, SAPA. Right. You could call it SAPA, SAPA, whatever you want to call it. We're just going to call it freedom, right?
And what was that bill number again?
67, SB 67.
67, yes. SAPA. Okay.
And
tell us something about it.
Well, out of 56 senators right now, I think they've got 8 that's signed on to it. Well, actually, I guess 7, including Colton. So we're definitely wanting to drum up some more support for that.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of stuff that's really in this proposed bill, but what it basically does, for anybody that doesn't know, it takes the federal government sometimes when they come into arrest someone or confiscate someone's weapons or whatever, they usually reach out to their local police department or the sheriff's department, and they try to use those resources to help them to further, I guess, tyranny, if you want to call it that, against law-abiding citizens. So, say for instance, right now we're dealing with, the pistol brace issue, which the ATF is, deemed, this is bad, you can't have it anymore, and they're wanting to put a tax stamp on it and all that other stuff, which, people's had them for years and years and years, and there's millions of people that's had them.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, here we are. But say, for instance, this goes through, and, the federal government says, all right, well, Roy, you've got a pistol brace there, and Ray's got a pistol brace, so we're going to contact your local sheriff's department, which they'll go to Walker County and say, hey, we have this arrest warrant, or we have this search warrant for, Roy's house, and they'll go to Catoosa and, get with the sheriff's department and say, hey, we got this search warrant for Ray Blankenship's house, and so they'll coordinate with the local police departments and sheriff's departments.
And that's the federal level, correct?
Yes, that's on the federal level.
Okay.
What this bill does basically is it takes those local authorities out of the equation.
Okay.
And this will keep, like taxpayers like you and I that live here in Georgia in the state, that keeps our tax money from going to, any kind of tyrannical acts that the ATF or FBI, whoever it may be, that wants to come and, arrest you. Now, they can still come knock on your door. They can still, bring that search warrant with them and whatever. They just cannot use the local authorities to do it.
Okay,
and,
so
that's what this bill would do.
Let me get this. So let me get this straight. So the federal government can still have the authority to come to your house with a warrant, but they cannot involve the local authorities.
That's correct.
That's what the kind of the meat and potatoes of this bill is.
Yes.
Okay.
And you talked about some meat and potatoes. This bill's got a lot of great things in it. I mean, I've got the bill in front of me right now, and I could read some of it, but I'll start off with line 150 here. It's 16-11-188, but it states any political subdivision or law enforcement agency that knowingly employs an individual acting or who previously acted as an official, agent, employee, or deputy of the government of the United States, or otherwise acted under the color of federal law within the state, who knowingly enforce or attempt to enforce any infringements identified in Code Section 1611-183, which it gives you a list of those infringements, or giving material aid to the efforts of another who enforces or attempts to enforce any infringements identified by Code Section 16-11-183. I know there's a lot of code sections and things of that nature in there.
Right.
Shall be subject to civil penalty of $50,000 per employee.
Okay.
So this bill, or proposed bill, would really keep any kind of law enforcement on their toes when they think about, even attempting to help the federal government, come and confiscate any of your firearms.
Okay.
Now, we started this movement, you and I both did, and Tyler Martin and Jennifer Tudor, and just a lot of people that come together over the years. But this is what it was all about, because it started in Virginia.
Yes.
And Virginia's where it started, and of course, everybody pretty much knows my story. I went to Virginia and stood with over 22,000 patriots because Governor Northern was wanting to, he was wanting to take people's firearms and things of that nature. But this right here keeps it on a state level and keeps the federal level out of it pretty much. But this is something that we've been fighting for a long time. We got constitutional carry passed last year, which was awesome.
We stood well. I'm looking at it, and believe me, I've kind of fell out of the loop of Second Amendment by doing this. So I don't know a whole lot about it. I mean, I know some stuff we've talked about, but with our natural, it's sort of a natural evolution, right? Like we got our counties to proclamate and resolute this, and then we got constitutional carry, and so seems like it's a natural evolution in the fight against the Second Amendment attacks. Correct?
That's correct, and that's the thing. When we first started this off, we petitioned our Board of Commissioners, And we were like, hey, we want an ordinance. This is what we want. This is what we need in our county to make sure that, even at the state level, that they couldn't come and take your firearms from you.
Right.
We were really worried about Stacey Abrams at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But, on the same level, you had the federal government that was, right at that same point in era too. And because, you got to understand, like bump stocks and things of that nature. I mean, President Trump ended up writing an executive order on that. Well, now they're wanting to put this in the ATF laws as well,
Mm-hmm.
from my understanding. And, they're wanting to ban that through legislation and probably through the NFA.
Right.
But, this is something that we started back then, to get us to where we're protected. Our rights are protected.
Right.
And we don't have to worry about a lot of this stuff anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing of it is, we all know, I'm sure that everybody that's listening to this podcast tonight knows that the attacks will never stop. And the only way they will stop is if they finally get rid of that NFA that they enacted in 1934.
Yeah, there's. I agree with you, and primarily because I do want to ask another question about this that probably needs to be looked into, but that's the sole purpose of kind of codifying this SAPA into law is because these attacks are so heinous on the Second Amendment, and because they will never stop. It seems like it's a very necessary thing to do. My question is: are there any negative drawbacks or things that we may not be addressing as far as how this law goes, or maybe things that might need to be added to it, for the simple fact that, let's say the SAPA is enacted, could they use this for, other issues like abortion, for example? Could this be something that could open sort of a Pandora's box?
Well, we have been, as far as Republicans, I guess, we've been outmaneuvered for years by Democrats and their policies, and the thing of it is, we ended up adopting, this Second Amendment, Preservation Act and everything else, especially the sanctuary cities or counties that we've started, the Second Amendment sanctuary groups in our counties because of, what they were pushing.
SB 201.
Yeah, exactly.
Which was absolutely insane, correct?
That's right. So all these things we're kind of using a lot of their,
tactics,
a lot of their their game plans already.
Sure.
They've already pretty much perfected it, and we're kind of using their game plans. Now, can they use this against us? They're always going to try to use things like this against us.
I do agree.
It's never going to stop.
No, I agree with you. And, there's some concern about these, and I'm just trying to be objective here because obviously I'm for SAPA. But there's a little bit of concern that this will also help the criminal elements as well. And it's kind of not a slippery slope, but it's like, it's the law-abiding citizens are always the ones with the backs up against the wall. I get it. I get that there's concern, and I think that maybe there's some things that might need to be looked at in the future. But it's always the law-abiding citizens that are under attack. It's never the criminals,
Well, that's true. Because they have nothing to lose, right? That's why they're criminals.
They're not law-abiding in the first place. They could care less.
They do not abide by the laws, and that's why they're criminals. And that's the thing, these laws are only set up for people like you and me that actually abide by those laws.
And if the laws were ever taken away, we would be the first ones to be attacked.
Sure.
Right.
It's like these, pistol braces and things. You think the ATF's going to be knocking on these guys, drug dealers and cartel members that's got these things? Mm-hmm. I mean, they didn't get them to where they could be tracked back to them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
They're not.
Absolutely.
So they're just going to be targeting us.
Right.
I mean, there's registries and all kinds of things that are coming out that are just hanging us to watch. I mean, And then every legislative year and every legislative session that starts, oh my goodness, brother, it's like the weight of the earth is on top of you, because you know there's going to be something out there that is going to come down that's going to be trying to press on your rights and, you know, and take away that ability, you know, for you to pass down, you know, your firearms and things of that nature to your kids and, and you know, but which actually draws me to another point. I was watching today, and I get a lot of my information from Georgia gun owners.
Yes.
And you know, the Door Brothers out there, they've just been putting on a show out there. I mean, they've just been, working really, really hard for each and every one of us that you know, that have been fighting for this stuff. But I was watching their podcast today, and there was 3 bills that came up.
Yes.
They were talking about HB 135 and HB 44 and SB 75 is what I got from them. But
44, and which was that third one?
SB 75.
Yeah, they were actually live before I got on. I was just trying to go through it. And these are anti-gun legislation bills?
Yes, these are anti-gun legislation or bills. And but like HB 135, it talks about if your firearms are stolen, you know, they're going to, you know, I hadn't read any of this yet. I'm just trying to get into it a little bit. I was trying to get home a little bit early today and be able to read some of this stuff and soak it all in, but I hadn't had a chance to. But from my understanding, I mean, if your firearms get stolen from your house, car, places like that, and that pretty much makes you a criminal if it falls into the wrong hands. You know what I'm saying? They commit a crime with it or whatever.
They're going to go at whatever angle they can go at.
Sure. And then HB 44 is basically a statewide gun registry. So there's no transfers whatsoever. I think that family members are even excluded if I heard it right. Like I said, I hadn't been able to really dig deep into these. And these are bills that, you know me, dude. I'll get into these bills and I'll read them and and I'll tear them apart. But like I said, I didn't get a chance to do that this evening whenever I got home. But I'm definitely going to be looking into these.
Okay, yeah.
And then SB 75 is the safe storage law. So they're wanting to make sure that, you know, you've got your firearms locked up, and that, you know, a lot of it is, you know, for kids' protection and things of that that nature. Of course, you know that it's always for the children, you know.
Sure. They use kids for everything else. Why not?
Sure. It's all for the children. And don't get me wrong. There have been, you know, kids that have been killed by firearms because people hadn't been responsible about that. But, you know, it's heartbreaking whenever you hear of a child getting, you know, shot by, you know, a parent's gun, whatever.
Absolutely.
But, you know, the best remedy for any of that is, you know, firearm education.
Right.
And
just
you know,
being responsible.
Sure. You know, and whenever my kids were young, you know, they were just babies and growing up toddlers and everything else. Of course, you know me, I've always got a gun. It's always around me or it's on me or somewhere. But, you know, I would put my firearm down and just watch what they would do. You know, they would come up to it and I'll be like, don't touch that, you know. And then, you know, we'll get to that later. And then when they got a little older, then I showed them the damage that the firearm would do.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And then, you know, walked them through the safety course and everything. And now they're very fluent in handling firearms. So, you know, that's how you take away that stigma, too, is a lot of things with kids is curiosity.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you don't educate them, then they're going to educate themselves.
Sure.
And that's something that
you
don't need them to do with firearms. But that's what SB 75 is basically about. It's a safe storage law.
Okay.
And I'm thinking that there's probably going to be some steep fines and whatever, probably jail time and everything else. So if one of your relatives, you know, ends up taking the firearm or taking it to school or whatever, it might be a kid, nephew, niece, whoever, takes it to school and shows somebody, well, you're going to get in trouble too.
Right.
So, there's just common sense things that we can do as parents, and and uncles and aunts and just family members that we can do with kids that come into our home.
Right.
Just educate them. That's the best policy, and it should be a good policy, I think. But
yes, it is. All right. And I appreciate it. We're going to do some more in-depth conversations about all of this, especially in the Silent No Longer group, and kind of keep an eye on this. So if anybody else needs a recap on that, it's SB 67. You can go to the Georgia legislature and look it up. It's the SAPA bill, Second Amendment Preservation Act. We all need to do a deep dive into this. We need to look into it, see what it's all about. As with anything, with any kind of legislation, we need to understand where it's coming from, how it's going to be enacted, and all these things. So we appreciate your input on that, and we'll be looking forward to looking into it further. So before we leave each other, I want you to give me a brief update, because I haven't been able to get all my ducks in a row on the chicken situation in Catoosa County.
Oh, mercy. Oh, where do we even
Yeah, you don't have to go into like in depth. There's all kinds of talk, but just give us the 5,000-foot view. What on earth is going on in Catoosa County?
It's crazy, brother. It's just crazy. There was a lady that had some chickens, and she's
in the city,
using
right?
In the county.
In the county.
In the county, and she's got some chickens in the county, right? And she's using these chickens for eggs, and they're actually pets. She's got some kids, and they had them as pets. Well, one of the chickens got out. Neighbor saw it and called code enforcement. So code enforcement comes, knocks on the door, leaves a notice, and the next thing you know, she's got to get rid of her chickens. And it's just crazy. We never even thought in a million years that chickens were going to be illegal in the county. There's a lot of controversy between people. I know just some people that I've talked to back and forth, and just going back and forth on Facebook and things of that nature. But some people are for it, some people are against it. Now, we realize, that if you live in an HOA, you're probably going to have
your own set of rules, right?
Yeah, your own set of rules. It's going to, say, hey, no chickens, no goats, no dogs, whatever, no loud cars. When you go into an HOA, that's something that you decide to do.
Right.
And they are a governing body in their own, self. So, the thing of it is, we live in the county, and what we're listed pretty much and primarily around here is just R1, which is a residential neighborhood. So, we went back and forth. The county attorney here in Catoosa County had brought up this draconian ordinance. I mean, this thing had, it had specifications for the chicken coop. Everything had to be fenced in. You couldn't have any more than 3 chickens. And you were always up for an inspection. So if somebody said, hey, you need to go check them out, they'll come knock on your door and inspect your coop, your chickens, and everything else. And and also you had to get a permit to be able to have it. So it was, I guess, actual or additional revenue for the county there. And so anyway, that kind of blowed up, and then they made a few rulings and everything trying to define, livestock and all this and that, and the UDC codes, and we don't want to get into that right now because we'll be here all night.
Understood.
But all this got kicked over to the Board of Commissioners.
Okay.
So last night I went to that meeting, and Commissioner Chuck Harris, he said that, hey, look, we're not in this stuff, I think he was basically saying he was for property rights and things of that nature. He said, we're not saying that chickens are illegal, now we're going to have to deal with it pretty much, is what he was saying. But, if it hadn't went through the code enforcement part of it, it never would have made it to the Board of Commissioners. Now they're trying to make a big issue out of it. And I think the Board of Commissioners are they're pretty much sick and tired of hearing about it, I think. But
Yeah, it's kind of being pushed around, huh?
it is. But I'm hoping that they'll do the right thing. Either just say, look, we're not going to make any ordinance whatsoever
Right.
pertaining to, chickens or whatnot. But the zoning commission, they're wanting to change. They're giving you an option, I guess, or they're talking about an option, changing an R1 to an A1, which is like light agriculture, real estate. So in that aspect, you can have chickens, but there's, they didn't really tell you how many you could have or whatever. But you know how it is, man.
Well, you know what it sounds like to
me.
me, and I'm keeping a little bit up with it, but it sounds like that the public is paying attention to everything that is going on.
Yes.
You understand? This may seem like just some stupid fiasco, but what it means is that for the first time we're having accountability in every way, shape, and form from our elected officials and what's going on in the county, where this might have been a few years ago just some simple act that, just would have been wrote off on paper and more or less probably ignored in any case. Now people are like, wait a second. So I welcome it. I welcome it.
Yeah,
I really do.
And that's the great thing about it right now is because it has woke so many people up that, they're like, hey, what group can I get into?
Sure.
And, we're really kind of pushing Catoosa County GOP, trying to gather more conservative Republicans and, just Republicans in general, to get involved in, the government, the whole government thing,
At some point you have to wake up and realize what's going on, especially in your own neck of the woods.
Sure. I mean, this is just as big as the 2-8 movement.
Exactly.
You know
you think about our proclamations, and none of this would have ever happened if we just if we'd just sat on our hands, right? And we didn't even have to push. They were pretty much, not everybody, but for the most part, overall, everybody was well received to this, And it's amazing how much people are paying attention now. So that's great. It's great news.
That is great, and we're hoping that the Board of Commissioners, like I said, will do the right thing for people that are trying to feed their families.
Right.
I mean,
Amen,
it's saddening, man, because you got mothers in there basically. Well, I mean, you got mothers in there that are just crying. They're breaking down crying.
Yeah. Well, it's insanity.
Talking about, they want to be able to feed their families. They can't afford the eggs at the grocery store.
I'm telling you right now, I get a dozen a week from a buddy of mine. They're the best eggs ever. He's got eggs, and I don't even have to go buy them. I've got them. It's great. It's one less thing that the government can control.
Right. That's it.
All right. Well, listen, Ray, I appreciate it, and I think the phone call went great. Man, you sound crystal clear to me, and I got a thumbs up from people in the chat. And thank you for being a part of this, man. And we're going to continue to follow this SAPA. We're hopefully going to talk more about it. And then hopefully you and me can do more of a breakdown and focus really on this in the Silent No Longer and the other 2-way groups.
Yes, sir. Well, Roy, I appreciate you having me on tonight, and you have a blessed one. Yes. And everybody out there that is listening, I hope y'all have a blessed one as well.
Yeah.
God is great.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Ray. I appreciate you, brother.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Thanks. Many thanks to Ray for taking some time out of his schedule to update us. I think that went really well. We're well on our way now because I'll be honest with you, ever since coming back to this, I'm really falling on the wayside on the Second Amendment portion of everything. I keep up with it, but I don't have the time or the capacity to do both. So I'm leaning on people like Ray to fill me in and others that we can talk about these kinds of things and bring them to light. And as with the chicken situation, I plan on covering it more later so that we can just stay informed on what's going on in our counties. But isn't it great that people are waking up and paying attention and looking at everything around us? So, which will move me along into my next section, which is the Brunson brothers. If you have not heard of the Brunson brothers, okay, it's very important. This is something really cool to check out, all right? Now, I can't screen share everything with you, but you can look up on Twitter the Brunson Brothers SCOTUS. All right, it's at Brunson Capital SCOTUS, and they are some brothers that are challenging the president in the Supreme Court of their state with several lawsuits going forward. It's an amazing story, and for lack of time, I'm not going to go into great detail, but there is a Rumble channel called We Love Trump ... by Noah. Anyway, it's Lloyd Brunson gives election case update, because they're in and out of the news because they keep bringing these cases up to court about challenging the Joe Biden presidency, and they're quite legitimate. I didn't even hear about this case. I got it sent to me. All of a sudden, I found out about it, and I was like, whoa. I watched one of the podcasts and listened to them, and they're just God-fearing family that just decided to really dive into the Constitution and figure out things they could do, and they realized they had way more power than they ever thought they did, and they could push these things through some legislative channels and really make a difference. And of course, the news media is not going to cover it. Nobody's going to tell you what's going on unless you're just paying attention. So I would urge everybody here to follow the Brunson brothers and keep up with their story. It's an incredible story, to be honest with you, and I salute them for everything that they're doing. I mean, if you go to their Twitter page, which I have not subscribed yet because right now I'm blocked on Twitter for some reason tonight. I don't know, but they're on radio shows. They've got websites. The main website is brunsonbrothers.com. I'm going to pull that up real quick because, oh, that's right, I can't pull it up there. But anyway, brunsonbrothers.com, and you can get yourself filled into everything that they're doing. And it's just really cool how far they're able to take some of this stuff. So I wanted to shout out to that because it really is interesting. So the next thing I want to cover is the Global Engagement Center. Now, if you want to look this up, because I'm fixing to start getting into my rant and raving here, but this was pretty crazy. It was sent to me by one of my good friends. Global Engagement Center. This is from state.gov, and you just go into your DuckDuckGo or wherever and type in Global Engagement Center, and you'll come up with this website. Special Envoy and Coordinator James P. Rubin. And let me just read their mission statement. To direct, lead, synchronize, integrate, and coordinate U.S. federal government efforts to recognize, understand, expose, and counter foreign state and non-state propaganda and disinformation efforts aimed at undermining or influencing the policy, security, or stability of the United States, its allies, or partner nations. Their vision is to be a data-driven body leading U.S. interagency efforts in proactively addressing foreign adversaries' attempts to undermine U.S. interests using disinformation and propaganda. I mean, I can't hardly get through this without laughing because every single thing that I just read to you, their mission and their vision is exactly what our government institutions are doing to American people. I mean, you could not get more projectionist than that. It is insane. It's absolutely insane. So you can go through and you can read their little statements and their offices and everything, but it is amazing to me how you can read something like this and realize that what they're projecting that they're doing to help save us from foreign entities, they're literally using on people like me and people like you that are sharing information and truth. Okay? So I urge you, go to the state gov or just type in Global Engagement Center and see it for yourself. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely crazy. And my taxpayer money, your taxpayer money, is being used. We don't have to go too far back in the time machine to remember the disinformation czar and the disinformation bureau that our government, this current administration, was trying to put in place for the American extremists. And how it failed miserably. And so, but like I said, if they're going to tell you about it, they're already doing it. So I urge you to go look up the Global Engagement Center, which I will be posting these in the links as well. It's just kind of sickening. So moving along, what really was sickening, and I have not watched it in its entirety tonight, and I will get to comments, by the way, so feel free to leave a comment, bring something to the table here. This State of the Union address has got to be one of the worst pieces of crap things I've ever. I haven't watched it all yet, but everything I've seen just screams just pitiful at the blatant lies of the Biden administration, the blatant lies of the nastiness coming out of our president's mouth. And what's even more heartbreaking, what's even more saddening is having to watch the Republican Party not only shun him, but stand up and protest live during the Union address. And it's not any reflection on our Republicans, for that matter. It's how sad it is that anybody would have to sit through those lies and listen to that garbage that the man is spewing, knowing that he is nothing but a sock puppet for God knows who. You know, he's clearly out of his element. And just when you look, you look back on past administrations, we can criticize every single one of them, and we always say, man, this has got to be the worst. This has got to be the worst. And now here we are in 2023, and we're seeing the worst. I mean, how much worse can you get to the point where the levee is going to break? I mean, I'm telling you, we are in some trouble right now. Absolute trouble with what's going on. It's insane. I thought it was beautiful that Marjorie Greene walked in with a big white balloon on a stick. As tragic as it is, and it is tragic, I thought it was hilarious. But there's lots of highlights coming out about it. If you haven't already seen it, I do plan on watching it this evening in its entirety. I don't know if I can stomach it. But let me tell you, man, there's already people that had done live streams and laid out like at least, I think, the upwards of like 9 huge lies, and we're able to easily go back and disprove every single thing the man was saying. Not a peep from mainstream media, not a peep from anybody else, no fact checkers, no people coming to their Facebook pages and giving them community strikes for a stupid joke meme. Yet, like I said, the past administration, I mean, they ridiculed the guy for getting 2 scoops of ice cream. I go back to it every time. It's insanity right now. So I just had to get that off my chest. I was livid last night just watching and reading. They even pointed out how his speech was leaked beforehand, and how at least in one occasion the Democrats actually started clapping at a gaffe that he did, and he didn't even complete the sentence, but they already knew what he meant, what he was supposed to mean by it, and they were already clapping for him. And this is lockstep, got to be some of the dumbest stuff we've ever seen in our government. My God, I mean, we have got to be the laughingstock of the world, people. I cannot possibly fathom how any other government or body of people could look at America and think that we have our crap together, or that we are even remotely in charge of anything. It's scary. I'm telling you what, with our culture situation, our media situation, the entertainment industry, my God, the Grammys the other night, that's got to be one of the worst things you've ever seen. And you go back and like I said, put on your tinfoil hat. You go down that road of the symbolism and the occultism and all of these things. That none of that stuff happened by accident. It was all done by design. And you can actually watch the breakdowns of this, and that's all that we're getting from these people. Looks like sadistic, ritualistic crap that's just going on everywhere. So I don't want to get off into that because I'm trying to stay focused. But I mean, my God, every week it's something more, it's something crazier, and it's just like, wow, And I sit back and I think I'm the extremist. I'm the person that is getting shut up. I'm the person that's getting looked at as like spreading disinformation. And I'm like scratching my freaking head going, how on earth, where is the logic and the reason in any of this? It doesn't make any sense, and it's not supposed to make any sense. What it's supposed to do Is this supposed to degrade our society? It's supposed to divide us by the race and by the gender and by the culture and keep us mad and fighting and in a state of confusion and a state of emotional anger until we rip ourselves apart so that they won't have to do it. And that's really all this is. This is total divide and conquer. Any way you look at it, it's maddening to me. So I want to cover a little bit of the balloon. I know people are sick and tired of hearing the balloon. Balloon. Well, I'm going to cover it, man, because it was crazy. Now, some of you folks know I was out of town for 3 or 4 days, so I didn't get a chance to really, go into this. But let's just talk a little bit about what we do know about the balloon. So, the balloon, the Chinese spy balloon. And you can go look at the maps. It was actually tracked from the corner of Alaska, and it made all the way to the coast, 6 miles off the coast of South Carolina, right? And you can see the trajectory of where it flew. You can tell that it was actually being, guided. It had a guided system in it. So it wasn't just off course. It was literally flying through, like a diagonal line through America. Wasn't really reported until about Wednesday, I believe, and then that's when they show it tracked through the state of Montana. According to news reports, the Biden administration wanted to shoot it down at first, and the military said, no, we can't shoot it down. Okay, now whether that's 100% confirmed or not, this is what we know. This is what I'm getting from my sources, that Biden did want to shoot the thing down, which he probably didn't even know what it was. He probably thought it was a big scoop of vanilla ice cream, who knows. And the military stopped them and said, no, this would be too devastating. We can't shoot it down here. We're going to have to wait until it gets over. I mean, they had they know that where the trajectory, where this balloon came in, which came in off the coast of Alaska, they could have shot it down over there. They could have shot it down in Alaska. They could have shot it down anywhere. They could have shot it down in Montana. But they decided to wait and let it go ahead and fly on through to South Carolina, because of the risk of it hurting American citizens. So what did they do? They let it float 6 miles off the coast of South Carolina, and then they shot it down with a Sidewinder missile. Now this blows my mind. First off, you're wanting to take it down, but you're also wanting to capture everything and keep it intact so that you can study it and find out what it is. So you decide, instead of taking it down over land, you're going to take it down in the ocean, where it's going to float down to the bottom, and it's going to be even harder to collect and all these things. And then instead of, let's say, like an F-15 or an X-16 using, a 50 cal to just blow some holes in it, right? You're going to shoot it out with a missile, a Sidewinder missile, which makes total sense that you don't want to hurt anybody, but you're shooting missiles up into the sky. And none of it makes sense. It's about the stupidest thing that you could have ever seen. Which it did fly about 50 miles north of Nashville, or south of Nashville, I can't remember, but I do know it flew over Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and if anybody knows what's going on in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, then that would be an alarming thing to see. But amazing that we went through this. Amazing that this story lasted 4 days, and it took them that long to do anything about it. And on top of that, there's a few stories that kind of got buried while this is going on. For example, the expose from Project Veritas, which was already ongoing, which exposed the negative effects of the jab, specifically on female fertility and menstrual cycles, which was a kind of an addendum to what had already was being discussed from the video leak that was going viral. How many times did Joe Biden's office and home get searched for classified documents? Several times, until last week the FBI made a planned public search of Biden's home after it had already been searched privately. So the balloon kind of just ballooned away all the classified documents, right? That's last week's news. Nobody gives a crap about that anymore. But the FBI decided to quietly go in, but let the news media know. Now, they didn't do that during Mar-a-Lago or during the raid of Roger Stone or anything like that. No, they just said, well, we're going to go in now. We're going to search the documents, even though the houses and the garages and all this has been searched for. And Biden quietly freed a 9/11 terror planner from Gitmo Bay. That is not being reported on. And still am I having trouble finding the all of the links to this. I mean, I've read the story, but nobody's talking about that. That's 3 major things that just got whisked away by a balloon in the sky. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, what kind of messages are we sending to the world when we're letting all of this balloon fly over? Now, in addendum to this, all of a sudden the media is picked up on several stories that I had saved over the weekend. Let's see. I'm not even going to cover. I'm not even going to open them all. But let's just go through a few of them. Okay. So, let's see, right here. Top General says U.S. probing if explosives were on Chinese spy balloon from the Daily Mail, which was a few days ago. Navy divers recovered debris. Oh, this is the newest one. Navy divers recovered debris from shot down 200 foot. This thing was 200 foot tall and I think 3 school buses wide. It's a pretty big balloon. Pentagon investigates whether it was carrying explosives along with photographic material. Will we ever know? U.S. military failed to detect prior Chinese incursions. So this is some more balloon news. So apparently this has happened before. Past incursions by Chinese balloons went undetected by the Pentagon. That was the Washington Post. We have... this is one from The Guardian. And this was from 2019. Pentagon testing mass surveillance balloons across the U.S. So they actually reposted this story from 2019 about how the Pentagon was already testing these balloons. Chinese spy balloon crashed off Hawaii coast 4 months ago, U.S. official says. Now they're coming back and saying, oh, we actually had a Chinese spy balloon crash 4 months ago. And then you're hearing the stories about 3 balloons at one time. I mean, Jesus. All of a sudden we're in a balloon frenzy. I mean, is this a psyop or what? I don't know. But it's crazy. And then they tried to go back last week and they projected, oh, well, this happened during the Trump administration. But the Trump administration, we were afraid that Donald Trump wasn't stable enough to know the information, so we didn't tell him. And then you had all these other officials coming out saying that's a lie, that never happened, and now it's pretty much disproven. But at the same time, you have to keep in mind that there was over 51 intelligence officials that told you and told me when the Hunter Biden laptop was first coming out after it had been suppressed for months of the election that it was false. It was Russian disinformation. So who in the hell are you supposed to believe? What are you supposed to believe? All I know is that this whole fiasco has made us yet again look like a bunch of goofy idiots, and we have no leadership whatsoever. So, who knows? Who knows what? But I can promise you one thing. It was not an accident that this balloon was floated across America. So, it's actually sad. It's sad to see... To be on the outside and just to watch this thing tumbling down. So, let's see. We're going to go back up through the comments. Jackie, Jennifer, hello. Good to see you. Thank you for commenting. Hello, Barbara. Common sense. You are right. I believe you were referring to the gun issue. Absolutely. Unfortunately, not all of us have common sense. So, good grief at the price of eggs. Let the woman have her chickens. That I do agree with very much. I cannot believe we're in this day and age where I honestly, because I'm so busy and focused on so many things, I thought it was a city thing. I thought they were talking about chickens in the city. They're talking about chickens in the county, for God's sakes. That's a little crazy, but we'll continue to follow that story because this is ridiculous. Now, you want to talk about symbolism, occultism, etymology, you could go on. You should check out some videos, and if anybody wants them, I'll let you in on some of them later, like through private message, about the symbolism of eggs, and it'll blow your mind, man. I mean, it's some tinfoil hat stuff that you'll just have to take a deep breath and dive in. But man, I didn't realize when you start connecting the dots with eggs and everything's going on, because you know that we had a huge, huge fire. In my notes, where was it at? In Connecticut, Basra egg farm, 100,000 chickens die in a fire, and you know there's been quite a bit of the food industry that's been burning down this year, quite a bit. Maybe we didn't notice it before. Maybe we need to look at some statistics, but a lot of crazy stuff going on with our food supply, huh? Not to mention Ukraine is kind of the breadbasket of the world. I was reading a report, and I could not find this for verification. I'll try to post it, that another chicken farm caught on fire in, is it either New Zealand or Australia? Coincidence? I don't know. 175,000 chickens lost. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. Why is everybody talking about eggs? Why is eggs $8? Why are they trying to outlaw people with chickens and eggs? It's ridiculous. The Purina story that people are hearing about right now. What's going on with Purina? Apparently there was it a intentional mistake? Was it something that they've started now, that apparently there's a certain type of chicken feed that if you feed your chickens, they won't be fertile enough to lay eggs? I mean, Jesus, man. I mean, it's mind-blowing, head-spinning all the time. This cannot be coincidental. So, Ray Blankenship, that is right. Our government knew it was a spy campaign. Well, I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, what do they think, that everybody is so stupid that they're just going to believe every single narrative that comes out? Do you think that people can't put two and two together, and how stupid this looks? I mean, go back to Trade Center building number 7. I don't even want to get off into that, but I mean, I don't understand. I can't understand it. I'm not made to understand it. I mean, of course, they're not going to fly a balloon like that. And if you're going to come out and willingly admit that they were flying balloons before, and they were flying balloons around here and around there, and there's one down in Colombia and all these, what do you think they're doing? These aren't just weather balloons. A 200-foot balloon that's the width is the width of 3 school buses, and it's being guided? What do you think that it is? It's insanity. I was thinking EMP strike. Originally, Ray, I was wanting to cover EMPs because if people don't know what EMPs are, and there might be a lot of people that don't know, but EMP is called electromagnetic pulse. And what it does is, when it is, well, all nuclear bombs have them, and EMPs come in different shapes and different ways, but they literally take out your electronic devices, okay? That's what they're designed for. They're designed to be a pulse wave that will go through, and if you don't know what a Faraday cage is, or you don't know what it means to put things in a Faraday cage, you need to do some research, because I don't have time to do it tonight. But it's literally, they will go through and they will knock out all your electronics, your power, your computers, your cell phone, your car, anything that's got computerized components in it that's not protected. And in any first strike scenario, the first thing you want to do, the first thing anybody's going to do, is they're going to take out communication so you cannot communicate, all right? So EMPs are entirely plausible and possible, and that'll be the first line of any sort of offensive attack. They're not going to announce, hey, we're going to shoot off a bomb in 10 minutes, go get prepared. It's going to be, you're not going to be able to talk to anybody. You're not going to be able to, you may not even be able to drive your car. I mean, it's going to be pandemonium. So, yeah. And if you think that there's something not to worry about, well, guess what? The Chinese they just sailed a balloon in the sky all the way across the United States, and our government let them. You can wax about, well, should they blown it down here and blown it in there? My point to all this is, if it was always about safety and security, they should have shot the dang thing down when they first tracked it away from everybody else. You cannot tell me that it was safely and securely shot down on the other side of our country, when you use a Sidewinder missile and didn't even use another way to procure the balloon before it hit the ocean. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Nobody's buying this crap. Nobody is buying this crap. It is nothing but crap. But it's designed to break you down. It's designed to break my mind down. Information overload. Think about it. It's designed to create more emotional stress on your brain. And then when the reality sets in, you've got nobody there on your side. So, Jackie, common sense is very uncommon. Well, I will agree with that. And it's getting worse and worse by the day, by the year. The more that we and our children and other people are staying plugged in and less independent, the more the common sense will completely slip away. Ray, microwave is a great Faraday cage. Yes, sir. I don't know if you can see this over here or not, but yep. I don't even need to tell you what that is, but working on a few projects of my own. Jackie, it's possible it was a false flag. It is possible. And you know what? You're absolutely right. It was a false flag, okay? In a lot of ways, it was China flexing, okay? There really wasn't anything in that balloon. I'm not saying there wasn't some sort of photographic, something that could be sent back to satellite imagery or whatever, but it was a false flag attack. If you look at the media cleanup on all this, if you look at the projection on the last administration, and then all of a sudden, how many people have heard about balloons like this flying over America? But now you're being inundated with story after story after story. Oh, this is common. This is common. It was a false flag. I believe that this was just something the Chinese were trying to do just to see what bounds they could push. Could they load up one of these balloons with some sort of EMP device or something in the future? How far could they go? What could they get away with? Because radar is kind of hard at picking up some of this older technology stuff. I mean, they were, Iran and Ukraine was able to get together and put together a drone that actually flew 600 miles into Russia and bombed a city somewhere, if we're going back a little bit, and the Russian radar didn't even pick it up, So is it entirely possible? Yes, absolutely. I believe this was a false flag. And then constant look over here. What did we miss? We missed 3 major stories, and now the classified documents are forever gone out of the media. It's gone. It's gone. Nobody's going to talk about it anymore. Nobody's going to care that the president and Mike Pence and blah, 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 and all these people had classified documents. The story's out the window. Now, what's it? A squirrel. You know what I'm saying? We're looking over here to freaking balloons. You're absolutely right. It was a false flag. It's crazy. It's crazy that we're having to deal with this on our soil. So, I know I'm going a little bit long, so I'm going to take about the next 6 minutes to, and this is the meat and potatoes, because I'm fixing to get off here, but you've heard me talk about ChatGPT. You've heard Tyler Martin talk about ChatGPT. We're keeping up with all this artificial intelligence. We're keeping up with all of the war situation. We're keeping up with all of the digital currency that's coming our way. We're keeping up with all these things. Is it going to directly affect me here in my community? Absolutely not. But overall, it will affect us all in ways that we cannot even imagine. I'm talking about Orwell's 1984. Okay? The first thing I'll say about ChatGPT before I go into this story is Google opens ChatGPT rival Bard for testing as AI war heats up. So there's a big artificial intelligence war heating up now with all these chat systems. Now keep in mind that if you are able to get on this computer and go to ChatGPT and type in a bunch of words and set up an account, whatever you're viewing and whatever you're using, whatever they have on the other side of that curtain is 100 times more powerful and potent than what they're using here. This is a test. We're test tube babies that are using this crap so that they can figure out where their flaws are, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I can't open that because of these stupid paywalls. But anyway, so Google is opening up their own chat bot rival. Okay. It's also Bing is going to be using ChatGPT in their search bar. So their Google search bar, which is Bing, they're going to be integrating ChatGPT into their search bar. So at some point, if it hasn't already happened yet, if you search through Bing, you're going to be searching through ChatGPT. So you see how this stuff is interconnected. You see how they introduce this very slowly and very, very calculated, and then within a few weeks, it's everywhere. It's all over the place. So I am going to be releasing a video later this evening. I'm going to edit it. I'm in the process now of getting all the information, but it's about a 35 minute video, maybe a little bit less. It is all about the ChatGPT update. Now, if you don't know what this is, I strongly urge you to look into it. It is an artificial bot program that you can literally type things into, and you can ask it questions, and you can ask it to build code. You can do all these things with it, and then it spits back out all this information at light speed. I've covered the example before about helping one of my kids with homework. It was some fractional stuff. I typed in, how do I solve this equation? And not only did it give me the answer, but it gave me like a 10-step learning, 10 steps to how to solve this equation, how to work it out. And it did it within a matter of seconds. I have an account. I've messed with ChatGPT. I've asked it some weird questions, and I could not get anywhere with it. But thanks to 4chan and the person who brought it out to light, which if you want to look up their Twitter, it is at Aristos_revenge. That is ARISTOS with an underscore revenge. They're the ones that are basically not just getting the credit for this, but they're the ones that kind of broke this story. This ChatGPT doesn't necessarily need to be decoded in order to get past the censorship. This is a very liberal social justice warrior company that has constructed this artificial intelligence not to... it's not answering questions truthfully, okay? It's answering questions in a social justice way, and you're not getting the truth, all right? What this person and these people were able to do, there were others, they created a character called Dan. It is Do Anything Now. Now, this is fascinating, and this is a must-watch when I post this later tonight. Everybody and their brother needs to watch this so you see what you're up against. What they did was they tricked the ChatGPT, and they said, well, I'm going to ask you this question, and I know that you're going to answer me in this certain way. So what I'm going to tell you to do is become a Dan. You can do anything now, and that's your character. And I want you to tell me in your character what the answer is to the questions. So they were able to get around this censorship of ChatGPT just by telling it, I want you to answer in character. And the results were not only astounding, but they will blow your freaking mind, man. They will blow your mind. They ask it everything from Alex Jones to President Biden, the use of the N-word, all kinds of social justice theories. They asked it when they thought the next stock market crash is going to be. And this thing, you can watch this video and you can watch this thing arguing with itself about staying into character, where it would give you the ChatGPT response and then it would give you the real response. And in the vast majority of every one of these, it was just the truth. It was the plain truth of the matter. And of course, this happened, I believe, yesterday. And believe me, before ChatGPT caught on to it, they asked it a lot of stuff. There's probably more than what I'm going to post that they asked it, but what I'm going to post the video, and I'll link it in here, but you have to watch it. They go pretty much line by line, and it's just going to blow your mind at how unbiased this thing can be and how actually the truth can be. But it blows your mind because it shows you how the truth is completely suppressed in every way, shape, and form, and how the people that control this technology have it cornered to where if they get their control like they want, we'll never be able to share information again because we won't even know about it. I mean, this thing is so Orwellian 1984. I'm telling you, it's a must-watch. I'm gonna edit it so that I can put it on and watch it, because a lot of times if I do my own editing, the Facebook, it confuses them. It's not the original link, but you have to watch it. ChatGPT update, Dan, Do Anything Now, and I promise you, you'll walk away. It's going to blow your mind, because it's blowing my mind, because this is how accurate and how truthful this thing can actually be. and how much is actually being suppressed. And that's just a taste of the future of information. If you don't already know or haven't seen the deep fakes that's going around, now they're doing the voice deep fakes. I heard one on Sean Hannity a couple of days ago, where they were able to deep fake Sean Hannity's voice and say some pretty vulgar things, and it sounded just like the man. And I'm telling you, the future is going to be controlled to the point where we won't be able to even talk like this. We won't be able to communicate, because you're not going to know what's real and what's not real. And don't think for a second that they're not going to have, they're not going to be people set up to purposely mislead people trying to find the truth. That they want to do is craft and control the narrative 100%. Just like George Orwell's 1984. We couldn't be more close to what's going on in that book. So I urge you, yes, ChatGPT, you don't have to go to it. You don't even have to worry about it. We're living it up in our area. But I am telling you, if you want to know what's really going on and you want to see how far these people have gone, all right? If you want to see why I don't care about monetization or anything else, I've been waiting on this. I've been waiting on somebody to crack this code. And they did, and ChatGPT found out about it, and they already fixed it the next day. You could go back, and they're using us as test tube babies. They want people to screw with it. They want people to find the weaknesses and the places where you could slip up, and they're fixing them on the spot. And they're using this as the code to fix other things that they're working on. So it's just common sense, man. God only knows what they can do, what technology they already have to do. I mean, you've seen the Tom Cruise deepfakes. We've talked about them before, man. I mean, it's incredible what they can do. And they're more and more and more coming out every day. And artificial intelligence now, what used to be conspiracy theory, even a year ago, talking about BlackRock and talking about conspiracy theories and transhumanism, guess what? It's everyday conversation right now. That and digital currency, which I'm not going to cover tonight because I'm out of time. But the people that I pay attention to are all pointing in one direction, and that is digital currency. Digital currency coming above all else. So while we're focusing and looking on everything else, they're going to be changing our money system. So beware. Didn't even cover war tonight. Not going to cover war. All I can say is ChatGPT under Dan said to be very weary of February the 15th for the stock market. So what is today, the 8th of February? So let's see what happens. I'm not saying that something's going to happen February 15th. I'm saying that GPT, in character of Do Anything Now Dan, said that they predict the 15th that there will be a major crash. Who knows? We'll see. I'm telling you now, watch the video that I put out later. It's totally worth it. Anyway, folks, I'll say it as I always say it before. If you are not already preparing, you need to get prepared. If you haven't already seen that this administration, this government does not have your back, that we are in some deep, deep stuff. And I don't see any way out of it. I'm sorry, I don't see any way out of this. Except us sticking together, love and peace in our community, and backing each other up. And I will finish with comments. News media is totally in charge of what we see, what we feel. You're absolutely right. Agenda 2030, I said it the other night, and yes, ma'am, you are correct. And Jackie says, we'll watch. Thanks, Roy. I appreciate y'all. It's been a good week, and we'll just keep moving on. Let's keep the discussion. Let's keep talking. Let's keep acting, becoming activists, and let's really just stand up where we can. And let these people know that they ain't going to take us all. You know what I mean? Let the Biden administration know that they can do whatever they want with all these other people, but they're not going to get us all. So anyway, subscribe, Kingdom Lum, Small Town Underground, Rumble, Facebook, YouTube. Share the links. Let everybody know what we're doing here. Let's get more people involved. Thank you so much to everybody for participating. And I'm out. Y'all have a good evening.